Okay, I'm going to start by announcing our Success Club, just those that hit Success Club 10 and higher, because we have a lot with Success Club 5 and higher. So for Success Club 10, Valerie McCollum, Elle Deal, Rian Wendlandt, Kenny Kelly, Alyssa Debbie, Amy Morgan, Marie Sardelli, and myself. With 11, we have Kirsten Strapp. With 12, we have Jenny Frisk. 13, we have Suzanne Reyes. With 14, we have Erica Ocampo, Danielle Ann, Tara Brenner. With 16, we have Katie Scala and Carrie Schmidt. With 33, we have Caroline Nathan. It's going to pull up the volume for last week. Okay, so top volume for the week of February 11th to the 17th. Jillian Hilfending, 285. Tara Brenner, 285. Margaret Mackerer, 285. Ashley Feldenson, 295. Jonah Sharp, 297. Emily Crushore, 300. Jennifer Alvarez, 327. Kim Williams, 335. Kelly Marks, 339. Jenny Frisks with 340. Kirsten Barnett, 355. T. Strally with 360. Andrea Wallace, 405. Amy Pepolino, 417. Alicia O'Donnell, 430. Myself with 470. Carrie Martabano, 510. Erica Ocampo with 550. Elle Deal with 860. And Caroline Nathan with 1,246. Crazy. And I think that's it. Okay, awesome. So we are going to have those. So this past weekend, about 30 of us went to an Eric Worre event. So you can spell, his name is spelled Eric, E-R-I-C, and then it's Worre, W-O-R-R-E, if you want to look him up. But he wrote the book GoPro. I went to the event with 30 other people. It was an awesome event. Oh, I see someone holding the book up. What I particularly liked about it was that he is a professional network marketer. He's been a network marketer for 25 plus years and makes like 6 million, like an insane amount of money. And he just does all of these seminars to teach people skills on how to be a better network marketer and leader. So that was really cool to, learn from someone who was very successful in another network marketing company. But I'm going to just start by going through some of the people that were at the event, and they're going to share some of their top takeaways. So if you have pen and paper, that would be awesome. I'm going to pull up the names of people. Okay. I had a list of everyone, if I can get this come up. Okay. First, no, it's right here. Okay, we'll start with Trip. Trip, are you on?
Yeah, sorry. I'm not really going off of any notes. I took in a lot from this event, and I really liked it because it was so specific to us as network marketers, where some of the other training or events are sometimes based around leadership or general things, but this was like right in the gut for us. And that's what I liked about him, was his no BS approach. Like, my biggest takeaway was how he talked about entrepreneurs in general don't work to their full potential, because they don't have to. It's like, if you work as hard in your real job as you do this business, you would have been fired by now, because we don't have enough to lose. It's not enough pain for us to fail in this business. And so it's funny because he would walk back and forth on the stage in a real slow pace, kind of mimicking network marketers that are there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, not really doing anything. They're just kind of still there. And it's a shame, because there's so much potential in this business. And so that was my biggest thing. And so I really liked how there was a website called stick.com with 2 Ks on the end. And it's kind of an accountability website he talked about. And it was funny because he had a girl stand up, and he asked her, who do you hate? And she didn't hate anybody. So he said, well, what team or college do you like and what college do you hate? I think she hated Duke University. And then he's like, what's an amount of money that you could afford to lose, but it would still hurt, but you would be okay if you lost it. She's like, I don't know, $1,000. He's like, all right, you're going to go on stick.com. You're going to put in Duke University, $1,000. And he asked her what her goal was, which was for her to get from level 4 to level 5. And it was a lot of different network marketers there, so it's different names. But she wanted to get from 4 to 5 by the end of March. And he's like, all right, done. And so you go on this website and you can put in a certain amount of money, $1,000 to somebody that you hate, like a person or an organization. And that way, if you don't hit your goal by the particular date that you put in there, that money automatically goes to them. So it associates that pain with not hitting your goals. And I really like that concept. So I think I'm going to implement that on my team. Probably not $1,000, but it still has to be something painful. I think even $100 to someone you don't like, an organization you don't like, is painful for everybody. So maybe something like that. But you got to associate more pain with this business. Like, what are you really losing out on? Am I frozen? What are you really losing out on if you're not giving it your all? Because look at your kids and your family and everything else. Like, what could you be doing if you really did treat this business like a business and not just a hobby, I guess.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I liked that as well. Who do we have next? Sarah Marshall?
All right. So my biggest takeaway, I've shared my story a lot, and I shared a video about that earlier, but my biggest takeaway was similar to because I actually already made my accountability goal, and that's to quit my job by March 11th. So that's about to happen. Or that's pay my boss. Somebody doesn't know it, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, so my biggest takeaway is, as an entrepreneur, you can't think like an employee. You can't think like, okay, so they're going to tell me when to take a break, and they're going to tell me when to do this, and they're going to tell me when to do that, because that's not going to happen. Like, this is your business. This is your life. You have to drive this forward yourself, and that means you have to work your ass off. So you gotta work to live. Wait, did I say that wrong? Live to work, not work to live. That's what I meant to say. So that was one of my biggest takeaways, is that you've got to be, the hardest working, the most committed, and that's going to drive your team forward. That's going to build your business forward. If you look forward to living on the weekends and not look forward to living because you love what you do for a living, then what are you doing with your life? Like, that's how I feel about it. So essentially that was my takeaway. But I really like the piece about, sharing your story and building the part, and not just saying, oh, I'm a coach and this is what I do. Like, you've got to break it down and tell people what it is you hate about your job. Like, I hate my job. So I am breaking that down for people and sharing with them what it is about my job that I hate, and trying to attract who I, can, based on what I do for a living currently. So those are my big takeaways.
Awesome. Thank you. And congrats on making a goal to quit your job. That's awesome. Okay. Who do we have next? I skipped over Nicoletta.
Hey, so if it's okay, I actually wanted to kind of go through some of the notes that I actually took there. So not all of them, of course, but I thought it was really an awesome event. And like Trip was saying before, a lot of the events that we get invited to and that we, read about or do webinars about are about something about confidence or leadership or mindset or something like that. But whereas this event was really specific to network marketing, and if you haven't read GoPro, you need to read GoPro. It was definitely a game changer for me in my business. And I waited way too long to read it. And I tell all of my coaches that. And so I was really excited to actually go and see the author of GoPro. So that was pretty mind-blowing. So with that said, I didn't really kind of have, I guess, a number one big takeaway except for the story, which I'll talk about in a second, that I'm sure many people are going to touch on, and Pat has sent a video and posted in the group about, which is super important. But some of the quotes or whatever that I took away that he said, success and winning are not an accident. So that's something that I always kind of keep in mind, like, success leaves clues. It's not an accident. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You got to get up and do it every day. So success and winning at this business, it's not an accident. It's skills, it's learned behaviors and traits that any one of us can do. Leadership is about your team and your influence, not your position. And I kind of really took that also for like my challengers, not only my downline, but also even friends and family and people around you. So you're in a position by being on your journey and being a coach to be in a leadership position. And that can mean a lot of things. But definitely it all has to do with what you're doing and how you're grinding every day. So I thought that was pretty important too. I think Trip and Sarah already touched on like deciding that you're worth it and deciding what motivates you and figuring out in your core what motivates you. So that kind of also resonated with me because, we always talk about having a big why, and for all of us, it might not be that we hate our jobs, or it might not be that we need a solution for our kids, or maybe we make a great income and have a great job, but maybe we want a car, or maybe we want to pay off student loan debt, or whatever it is. But unless you really kind of like hone in on whatever that is, and this is something that, we all struggle with really figuring out, and it evolves over time. But once you've decided what that thing is, then you can start going for it. And once you've decided that you're worth it, whatever that thing is, then you can start going for it. Another great thing that he said was smile. I think that smiling is really underrated, and pretty much, especially kind of unfortunately in the area where I live, I have people who come from out of town and are very quick to even say things like, oh, people are just like walking in the malls and they don't look at each other. They have like blinders on and things like this. So just smiling and choosing to be positively attractive and, again, continuing to keep up on being positive and being that leadership person or that leader person in everybody's life, whether it's your family, your friends, your challengers, your downline, like whoever it is. So that really kind of stuck out to me too, because positivity is beyond underrated. The other thing I really liked how he was talking about was being proud of entrepreneurship. They started touching on this already a little bit. And I guess a little while ago, entrepreneurship was more like scary, our parents' generation or my parents' generation and things like this. Even me, I've witnessed in my family the result of like bankruptcy, gambling, all this kind of thing. So I went to Vegas and I gambled a dime. So it wasn't, entrepreneurship always seemed like a gamble to me. I just assumed that I had to get a job after going to college. I had to just do what everybody has to do, and I'm not going to gamble. I'm just going to, keep my head down, do a good job, smile about it, kick butt at whatever job I do. But now he said, I liked how he said, entrepreneurship is sexy. And what he meant by that was think about TV shows. So TV shows like Shark Tank, which again, we generally don't watch too much TV as Beachbody coaches, but many of the people that we were talking to do. So Shark Tank and I guess Profit. So people in general in society are starting to think. So what that means is people are starting to have. Yeah, buddy, I'm sorry, that's my son. So
what is that?
That's your team. Come here. We're gonna make this a little easier. All right, maybe not. Sorry about that. Having dinner. My husband's working. This is entrepreneurship. Sorry, live in the flesh. So anyway, people thinking more entrepreneurially about being able to be home with their kids, like I am right now, because I'm it. That's it. And just even like Uber and Airbnb. I thought that was super interesting, how people are developing apps that they can turn on and off whenever they want to choose to be in business whenever is good for them or when it's not. And of course, with the barriers to technology with science and such kind of changing from a long time ago, I thought that was really interesting too, because yeah, we have Facebook. We don't have to go out and about. We don't have to do cold calling. We don't have to do any of this. We have the internet, and we have all these like Google Docs and Evernote and all of these things to help us with being entrepreneurs. So again, start talking about the idea of entrepreneurship without necessarily talking about your business or your product specifically, but the concepts, so maybe none of us are making six figures at the moment. That's great. I get, for me, it's time freedom. I get to be here with my son, or, different aspects of not having a boss or things like that. Also, I thought was interesting how he was talking about education and the education system. Now, I was a teacher, so this was particularly interesting for me. And just kind of thinking about it in general, about how the education system is like an employee farm. And it's true because, of course, as a teacher, I was, a pretty not too strict teacher. Like the kids liked me. I won awards and stuff, and they voted on it, and not because of fear. But
You only have one kid.
yeah, I have one kid. That's you. So anyway, yeah, like you go through school, you go through college. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show up when you're supposed to show up. You have consequences if you don't. And that's what we're like milled to think that we need to do and be. And so when we now have to be an entrepreneur, and heaven knows this took me a long time to figure out that it's okay to dream big and look big and open big and just think a little differently. And it's okay to call the shots. But with that being said, you have to call the shots if you're going to be successful at any of it.
Yes. You're right, Mom.
Thank you. Network marketing cannot be learned. It must be discovered by action. So all the different things that hold us back, our fears, our insecurities, our limiting beliefs. Yeah, PD. Can't stress enough about PD. So that's definitely big. And you got to get out there. You have to fail forward. There's another book, John Maxwell. I personally haven't read it yet, but it's on my to-do list. And that's the only thing, screwing up or maybe, word vomiting or whatnot, is how you're going to learn and how you're going to be successful at this. So that's another thing. Lastly, back to the why. And again, like Pat posted the video about like your story and your why and connecting with it. I personally have kind of had a rough time connecting with this because of fears and limiting beliefs and things like that. I don't want to throw very important people in my life under the bus, but at the end of the day, they've hurt me. They've caused certain, major issues and implications. So I've been kind of having a tough time with talking about my story and really kind of putting it out there. A lot of people think like, oh, everything's so perfect and wonderful, because I do try to put in the universe the positive things that I want back, and I try to focus on the positive things that have come to me via this coaching opportunity and my wellness journey. But with that being said, there's a whole lot of struggle and pain behind it all. And in regards to the story specifically, so pain drives 99% of people in the world. And I thought that was a pretty interesting quote. So, and again, Pat made a little video about the 4 different parts of sharing your story. And again,
You're gonna
on your
go to classes when you get
okay.
little.
Thank you.
Hey, that's mine.
All right. On your own time, as you're comfortable, breadcrumbing your story, whatever that is. But the 4 key part or 2 parts of a presentation, he said, were number 1, your story, and 2, the product and the opportunity. And most people just kind of forget about their story and just go straight with the product and the opportunity. Whereas the big part of all of this is your story. So the 4 parts to sharing your story are number 1, your background. So, where'd you come from? What was your profession? What were you doing? How did life look? You're kind of moseying along your life, whatever that was. And then there was some kind of pain. So number 2 being pain. What you didn't like about whatever was going on when you magically had to do something, whether it's about your health or your fitness and this business. So 2 being pain and emphasizing on the pain. 3, the solution. So how did you solve? Number 2, what was your solution? And then number 4, how you feel about the future, like where you're moving forward with all of this. So I don't think either of them touched on it. I'm not sure, but we had to actually share our story in 2 minutes with somebody next to us behind us that we didn't know. And again, in the room, there were people from all different types of MLM companies. And again, when I joined, I didn't even know what network marketing was. I had no idea this was an industry. I didn't even know this was a job. So it was really interesting. And it was really interesting to share my story with this person who I had no idea. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what does she do? What's her company? What are they like? And now I have to sit here and share about me. So it was interesting. And, I felt like I did a good job, which normally I struggle with word vomiting everything. So I was kind of impressed, but I realized it was because I had my notes in front of me and I was able to look at those 4 steps. And then is when he decided to share with us the fact that number 2, the pain part, is, the big emphasis part. Bye, bud. And so I realized, all right, maybe I could have shared a little bit more pain, feelings, like those negative feelings that we tend to bury. So then we had to do the story again with somebody else and really emphasize that part. And let me tell you, when I did that, and again, thank God I did it in 2 minutes. I felt awesome. When I shared it with that next person, it was like an instant connection with that person, just like eye to eye with them. And, you know, they heard me, they listened to me in under 2 minutes. And, you know, I got to hear and listen to them as well. And it was really rewarding and validating and pretty cool, just kind of that whole experience. So with that being said, all right, Nikki, 2 wins. I told my story twice in a room full of strangers. And I did it in 2 minutes, and I hit everything I was supposed to. That was great, but I don't do it often enough, and it's something I want to work on, feeling more comfortable with. And in fact, of course, the big awesome part about live events is all of the fun activities that you're doing in addition to not being specifically at your program scheduled event, whether it's pool talk, bar talk, hotel room talk, hallway, elevator talk, whatever it is. So it was really awesome because we were at the bar, because that's fun. And there was another successful top coach industry leader from Beachbody with us hanging out over there. And so we were talking about the event, and she asked me my story. And of course, what did I do? I word vomited. I showed no emotion. She pretty much got my color code all wrong. She thought I was a red, when in fact I'm a blue. And if you haven't done color code, definitely do that too. And the reason why she said that was because she said that I wasn't sharing any emotion or any pain. And I was like, oh my God, like that is totally opposite of me. And anyone who knows me knows that. So it's crazy how I'm like, just for comfort zone reasons, maybe it's because of who I was talking to. Maybe it's because I didn't have that script in front of me of those 4 things or whatever. But anyways, super important. So I wanted to share with you guys from my teacher mode an actionable step that you guys can take to start getting in touch with your story. So I don't know if you guys can see my like planner or this notepad here, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to write down my story, and I'm going to try to share it with you all, which then I decided not to, and I'll tell you why in a second. But anyways, as you can see, it's like a whole big long planner, right? Like a whole big long spiral. All right, well, you know what? That's not necessarily effective. So what I wanted you guys to try to think about to do about your story and about those 4 parts is to kind of break it up. So take a look at these 4 sticky notes. And I purposely made myself get small sticky notes so that way I can really try to focus in and hone in on the key points of those 4 different steps. So you don't have to be all pretty colors like I am, of course, or anything like that. But the small sticky note is about the first one is about the background. The second one is about the pain. The third one is about the solution. And then the 4th one is about what your feelings of the future are. So again, it might be a little nerdy, and yes, I was a teacher, and yes, I was an effective one, and made kids do things and learn things. So hopefully you guys take something away from that, and to try to figure out a way to not be word vomited about your story, and try to get more familiar with it and telling people about it. He suggested to us to do a 100 story challenge. So to find 100 people. So some of us on Team Boom are working together to try to make Zoom calls or things like that to actually just take 5 minutes and take 2 of those and share our story. And then he also had a 25-minute challenge, or I'm sorry, a 25 challenge to share your story within 48 hours. Yeah, buddy, hold on. I'm sorry. To share your story with 25 people in 48 hours. So if that's something that, I can't make you do this, your upline can't make you do this. This is if you want to grow and you want to connect with your story, and figure out how to get out of all that like comfort zone stuff. So that was kind of like my action step for you to take away that I tried to get with. So hope that was helpful, and that's that.
That was awesome. Thanks. I like the post-it ideas. You guys are like on top.
Awesome.
I'm like an entourage around. Okay, I'm gonna share my points. Mine are gonna be short, and they're mostly just like quick little note or like quotes or something that I took away. So the first thing that I took away was the more people you positively influence, the better your life is going to be. So the more people you positively influence, the better your life is going to be. You are in the people attraction business. You need to inspire and lead people. So a lot of people think that we're in like a sales position, and that's definitely like a misconception. But we're in the people attraction business. So we need to inspire and lead people. So that could be people that bought challenge packs from you, people that are coaches on your team, and just people that are following you on social media that maybe you haven't even connected with yet on a personal level, but they somehow stumbled across your page or whatever. So you need to be inspiring and leading. People are not going to follow what you say. They're going to follow what you do. They follow your actions, not your words. So I'll say that again. People are not going to follow what you say. They're going to follow what you do. They follow your actions, not your words. So I think, that's something that we've learned from, elementary school, but it's so true. So, instead of like, I am going to be, just making all these posts about what you are going to do, it's awesome. But like actually doing that and showing people that you are consistent, you are here for the long haul, and whatever else you're trying to portray. So just your actions are going to speak louder than words. If you have coaches on your team and you stress the importance of Success Club, well, then you better be hitting Success Club. You can't be expecting your coaches to be doing something if you're not, or your challengers to be posting consistently on the threads and stuff if you're not as well. Another point that I really liked was be careful who you give the keys to your brain to. And I thought that was really cool. So be careful who you give the keys to your brain to. A lot of stuff goes on between our ears and even ourselves. So like thinking and talking and whatever, but I think it's just really important to make sure that you're, monitoring the thoughts in your own head and those around you and the negative comments and stuff from maybe your followers or even your family members. And, sometimes you reach whatever level of success and people are still going to doubt you and stuff. So you just have to make sure that you have the keys to your brain and that they're positive thoughts and you're surrounding, yourself with positive people. If your thinking is stinking, your team is shrinking. If your thinking is stinking, your team is shrinking. So I really liked that. Basically, like you need to be positive. You need to be thinking out of the box and portraying whatever you want your team to be doing too, because if you're going to have a nasty attitude and negative and in and out and inconsistent, then your team is going to shrink. I really liked this point too. Great careers start with great years. Great years start with great months. Great months start with great weeks. Great weeks start with great days. Great days start with great hours. Great hours start with great minutes. And great minutes start with great thoughts. So if you want to have a long-lasting career with this or whatever else, or even just your fitness and anything in life, it all starts with those daily little thoughts that you have, and those compound into your hours, your weeks, your minutes, everything. If you wake up in the morning and you're not leading with positive thoughts just right from the beginning, then you're going to be wasting minutes, which turn into wasted hours, to wasted days, and years and whatever. And you could be, 3 years in this business and show no success because you weren't starting with those thoughts every single day and doing it consistently, which is why I hate the saying, and he actually brought it up, but I hate the saying, be here a year from now, because it's not about being here a year from now. It's about being here a year consistently, and really like 3 to 5 years consistently. You could have signed up a year ago from today and sitting here making no money or helping no people or helping not even yourself if you're not consistently starting with those great thoughts. And this was another great point. If you don't have a big team, you better be leading yourself. If you want to succeed and build, you need to build a successful environment. The environment doesn't come from the success. It really doesn't. It comes from you and what you want to portray to the you individually, even if you have no team. And then the last point that I'm going to make is he said, see you at the top because the bottom is crowded. So see you at the top because the bottom is crowded. I really liked that too. I thought that was pretty clever. Getting to the top with your success. My dad said the bottom is crappy. But yeah, he said it was crowded. Yeah, crappy and crowded. Okay, the next person, Terry.
Hi, everybody. I think Nikki and Amy kind of covered everything, but I think what I'm going to say is when they had a little break, I was lucky enough to go into the VIP room with Pat, and he was sitting there with Eric Worre, and Pat does his usual asking one question that he always asks when he sees somebody who's been very successful in life. And so he asked the question, what's the best advice you've ever received, to Eric Worre? And Eric, he sat there going, kept thinking. And he knew he wanted to come up with something. And then he said, work harder, believe bigger, faster. And it was funny that he said that, because at the very beginning of this event, the first thing he said is, the greatest thing that can happen for you is when you decide and when you believe. And I feel like, looking at all these faces in here, there's a group of us that have that belief. We've got it. We see that there's a treasure map, there is one, and it's not just for finances, but it's just to live a wonderful, wonderful life. And we want you guys all to come, and that's what he's doing up on stage, and all of us, and all the hard work that all of these different coaches, everybody's trying to figure out a way to lead their people, but it all becomes, it's like that you have to trust us, that we do have an amazing, what would you call it? I don't know. It is a map. It's a map to live a wonderful life. And once you get in it, you're like, oh my God, everybody needs to know this. We need to share this with everybody. But how do we do it? It's like, I want to go there, but I need to do the little things and learn how to become a leader, just like all of you. And that's what he was, and it's happening. Of watching everybody become leaders, and it's very exciting. So we have an amazing gift to give to ourselves, our families, and anybody else that we can reach down and help. And so every time you go to an event like that, it was so cool to be there with Eric Worre, because GoPro was one of the first books I read. And then the day before I went to it, I listened to it in the car again, and it was like, wow, network marketing is amazing. We shouldn't be embarrassed to say it. And so that night was the first time I did mention it in a post with my story. And let me tell you, that whole fear thing, and this is like saying, the hell with it, this fear. It's stupid. It's nothing. There's no animals chasing us. That was the video that Andrea said. There's nobody chasing us or hurting us. We just need to share this amazing gift. So that's all I have to say. And the other thing that he did say, which I loved, was that in this business, and I think Tripp mentioned it, like he was showing on stage that, you can walk like this, and you could turn and walk like this. But if you don't have a burst, if you don't do something, nothing is happening. Even if you say you're going to do this part-time or whatever, nothing will happen. You will never get off the ground. So you have to think like a rabbit or an airplane, and you've got to say, okay, I'm going to do this. What do I need to do? This man, he was doing a lot. He was getting nowhere. And then finally he had his burst. And that was when he decided he had it, no more. And that's where we have to be. Like, you just have to make that decision. Okay, I'm going for it. I can do this. They've got they're giving us the tools. We just need to go for a burst. Then you can take a little break, and then you do another burst. And so you see different coaches in this business are doing just that. So that's it. I definitely was very inspired by the whole weekend, seeing everybody and listening to Eric. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks. I like how you said, like, don't be afraid to share it, and we shouldn't be embarrassed. I like how Eric Worre, like, his big saying is network marketing. We have a better way. So, like, just making sure not to be afraid of, sharing network marketing.
Well, right.
Great job, Terry.
Mom.
Thanks, Thanks, Coach Beth.
All right, so are you coming on?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
Mine's not going to be as long
It's
as
very crowded here in this bed.
Mom, stop.
Listen, mine's not going to be as long, so
Hold
I don't want anybody falling asleep. So anyways, you guys pretty much touched on a lot of things, but this is one of the best trainings I've ever been to, because this was the nuts and bolts of network marketing, and it wasn't fluff. I mean, this really got to the guts of this business. So I'm just going to go through some things that I really took away, and I'm not a big challenge pack guy. I don't sell them. A lot of these people you youngsters do in here, but I actually used a couple of those things that day, and had 3 people, some of my old friends, that said, yeah, I definitely will buy a challenge pack from you. So just using these little tips, because I'm an engineer and I always dealt with facts and figures. So anyways, these, you guys have already heard these, but parts to your story, you have to use this. And the first one was your background. Start with number one, your background. And I'm repeating what Nicolette said, but number two, what didn't you like about it? And that is the most important one. Number three, you found a solution to it. What is that solution? You're a Beachbody coach. And number four, how do you feel about your future? So we did everybody got in the crowd, and we all we did 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And by far, number 2 was the most important. And I know we've already mentioned that, but you have to talk about what you didn't like about what you did in the past, or what you don't like about what you're doing right now, and instead of leading with the business. So I thought that was huge. What's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
And the other part I had was no one was trained, and this is so true. I wrote this down and I kind of put a highlight next to it. No one was trained to think like an entrepreneur. You went to school and you were trained to work for somebody. I mean, when you went to school, they didn't train you to be an entrepreneur. You were trained to go to work and be an employee. And so entrepreneurs think differently. I mean, what's your why? You have to have internal reasons. So we were taught to trade time for money, and that's what we were trained to do. I mean, that's when you went to school, that's what you were trained to do, to trade time for money. And the last thing I want to talk about that I thought was great, and I actually used this, was a lot of you have, friends and family that you're afraid to talk to this business about. And I did. I mean, I had a lot of friends and family. I didn't even want to mention Shakeology or mention the workouts. And I just thought this was really big. And I actually got 3 of my friends who said they were going to buy a challenge pack because they were struggling with their weight. And I knew they were, but I was afraid to approach them with it. So I kind of said, Amy kind of modified this for me, but I was wondering if you would support me and try something that has really worked for me. A 21-day at-home 30-minute workout program with 30 days of Shakeology. It's a package together for $140. If you don't like it in the first 30 days, you can send back the workout and the empty bag of Shakeology and get a full refund. The workouts require a few light dumbbells. And I sent that out to 10 friends, and 3 of them said that they wanted the challenge pack. So I guess those are my big takeaways right there.
Awesome. Thanks, Dad. Okay. And Joe Policino. So Joe actually didn't go to the one in Orlando with us, but he went to Eric Worre the day before in Atlanta. Joe, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Awesome.
Next time we could all just send our money to Nicolette, because I think she covered everything.
Yeah.
Very good job, Nicolette. Yeah, basically everything was covered that were the key points that I got also. But there was another thing that he mentioned, is that we all have minimum disease. We're just willing to do the least amount that we have. Let's just hit Success Club 5. That's good enough, So we got to shoot higher, and that brings up the 3 types of people that he mentioned. And one is there are pessimists, and they never reach their goal. 2 are realists. They usually do, but they don't set the bar too high. And then there's visionaries who are optimists, and they go so high that they never really reach their goal. So, but they might, go way above what the realists are doing. So if you're, if you promise yourself you're going to make $1,000 this month, but you only make it to 8, you're doing so much better than somebody else that was only aiming for 5 or 6. Do you follow me? So you got to aim high. If you don't reach, that's okay. Just get as high as you can. And then the personal development was huge. And that's the basis to everything. And he said, entrepreneurs are champions. We always say yes. We tell the world what we're doing, and we figure it out. So figure it out. I took that as we all have to find our own niche. Women have their way, guys have their way, and we just got to figure out where our niche is. I had something else, if I remember where it went. And there's a lot of stuff I think pertain to people new in network marketing also. And the big thing was respect your family and your friends when you approach them with it. Don't go with the verbal diarrhea. I'm just got involved in this company. Would you buy this from me? Ask for their support. Ask them do that script that Pete read, and then ask them if you could practice on them. Tell them, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to get familiar with the script that I need to tell people, and I want to get comfortable talking to strangers, but I feel easier doing it with you first. A lot of times, those people say, hey, this sounds pretty good. Tell me more, and they might even get involved. So that's another way in the back door also, without being pushy or trying to be like a salesperson. That's all I got for now.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. The other thing I just wanted to point out quickly that he actually asked a bunch of people in our room, like if anyone owned their own business outside of outside of network marketing, and a bunch of people raised their hands, and he asked them, do you mind sharing how much it cost you to start your business? And then he asked them, he went around and everyone ranged from, some were 10,000, some were, 500,000. And he asked the average amount it took them to make a profit and what they expected going into it before. And most of them said that they started making a profit after 3 years, and that's what they had expected to. And he gave us a stat that the average person who starts their own business is $65,000, and they don't make a penny until 3 years, and they're putting in all that time and effort, basically just paying back what they've earned or what they've put in. So I thought that was really cool, to the fact that we're investing. I mean, I know a lot of people consider Shakeology as part of their investment, but we're drinking our investment every day. We're investing $140 to start, and then basically $115 a month to run a business, and we can earn that back the first month and continue to earn that beyond every month. Which I thought was pretty cool. The fact that we really have such an awesome, network marketing is so cool that anyone literally can start their own business and with $140. So I thought that was awesome. And the average franchise, which network marketing is kind of like a franchise, because, it's kind of like opening an Applebee's. Like, we're promoting Beachbody products and stuff that we didn't actually create. The average franchise to open your own franchise is between $300,000 and $420,000 to get started, because you're coming in with all the tools to success for that platform and the recipe for success when you're coming in. So I thought that was pretty awesome to put that into perspective. And then also be honest with yourself. If you had invested $65,000 the day you started with Beachbody, how much harder would you really be working than what you are right now? I know that, like, from me when I was starting, like, I would probably be working a lot harder if I had invested $65,000 as opposed to $140. So if you want it to pay out like the people who put in $65,000, then start treating it like that and change your mindset to believe that that is what you put in. So you have to put in that much more effort. Don't treat it like a $140 investment. A $4 a day investment. Don't treat it like that. Treat it like something so much more. That's all I had. Is there anyone else on the call that was at the event that wanted to share? Those were the only names that I had listed down that reached out to me.
Can I make one other statement into what I said earlier? So at my full-time job, I'm making $50,000 a year. And I have made the commitment, like I did the stick.com, and I made the commitment to quit my job before the cruise, which is March 11th. And I'm sticking to that regardless of what I have to do. Am I anywhere near where I need to be financially? Probably not necessarily, but I know that if I quit, even if I have to get something part-time, like I know that if I quit, I'm going to have that much more time and energy and motivation to put into this to get to where I need to be. So I'm taking like a huge leap here. But I firmly believe in, you know, taking away something that you love, which is like comforts here and there, you know, and making a deadline with some serious teeth in it, because we are driven by pain, whether we like it or not. We're driven. We want to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So like we're driven to like do something massive to avoid that pain. So that's what I'm doing, and I've got people in my corner that are holding me accountable to this. So Friday comes, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice, and boom, that's it, end of story. So I'm not worried about like what I'm gonna do once that time comes. Like I'm just gonna do the work right now. So anyway, that's my other piece to this. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Diva, do you want to go? Diva?
Yeah, sorry. Hi, guys. What I loved from this event, I absolutely loved everything Nicoletta said. That was really great job. What I took away from this was basically he was saying that you should be proud for making a decision to be a network marketer. Network marketing cannot be learned. It has to be discovered and experienced. So whatever average people think, he was saying, don't think that way. Basically, the world has coin-operated people or employees, and then there are entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurs are the people who are going to invest time, money, and heart. Another really cute thing that I liked that he said was a boss is a double SOB backwards. I thought that was funny because I have experienced a couple of really terrible bosses in Florida that I just recently got rid of. I thought this was huge. Learning how to speak in front of people can make your network marketing income grow. Also, surround yourself with people in life that are more successful than you. They will pull you up. And don't hoard your talents or your passions. He was talking about dripping, which on Facebook, I am kind of guilty of this. I will drip here and there. I'll do like, you know, some kind of workout post, but it takes me a while to do it. Here and there, I'll do like inspirational things. So I kind of tend to drip, and I really need to get more into having, you know, more consistent posts and not hoarding my talents, which is dance, which is exercise, which is showing exactly the world who I am. Also, this was a huge, huge thing that I need to work on as well, what Nicoletta was talking about. What builds relationships with people, with human beings, is pain and vulnerability. So really getting out there, telling your story, your background. You know, I'm going to do my story here soon, which is, you know, why I got rid of these double SOB bosses. And why Beachbody is going to give me the freedom to really live the life that I truly deserve. I love that he said success loves speed. You have to be the rabbit and the turtle, which Terry talked about. Energy and intensity to stay in the game. But he's saying with these bursts of energy, they have to be 100%. You have to give your 100% with these bursts of energy. He talked about a rhino, like a rhinoceros hitting an apple tree, boom, and all the apples fall. So I think he's saying, you know, you have to be the turtle, and you can go slowly, but then you need to ram it hard and just, you know, give it all your energy. And I think I had one more thing that I really liked. And he just said, you know, just decide if you're not doing something that you want in your life anymore. Just decide. Get rid of your escape plans. Once you decide, the world will open up and you will move at a pace that you will never have moved before. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that's it. We'll just do like 5 minutes of questions. If anyone has a question they want to ask, and you can ask anyone in particular if you want. Oh, there are a few more opportunities. I mean, there's always personal development seminars. Like you can look them up pretty much anywhere where you live. Major cities and stuff will have personal development seminars everywhere. But Eric Worre is going to be speaking again in Orlando in July, which I know a lot of people are going to. And then also again, December 1st to 4th in Las Vegas. That's a 4-day event, which should be pretty cool. So those are a few more options to see him, but I'm sure you can also just Google his name, and I think he has some other ones.
Amy, I think he is coming in March to New York City, because I was going to tell people on my team that live near. It's the same time as the cruise, but I think he's going to be there that weekend. Oh, it's sold out? Okay.
He was really good. I think he was my favorite, but
half-price tickets for Las Vegas.
but yeah, we'll post all the information for the other events in the Boom Fam, and everyone can copy them into their coach groups if anyone wants to attend those other events. Does anyone have any questions? Getting to events is huge.
You should talk about how when you talk to people, you should figure out what their number.
No, just not. Okay. Since no one has any questions, hope everyone has a good night. Thanks for getting on, and I will post the recording as well.
Thank you.